boy. Oh boy, oh boy. Got an early morning, early morning, and it's time for art. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it to it. We're gonna make some art and we're gonna learn something today. Mm-hmm. Da 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 do 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 do. Ooh 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 ooh. Yeah, it's just stuck in my head. Believe me, shoe body boobop is stuck in my head. It is. It is. It's done. It's over with. So good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, got myself some coffee. It's a Monday morning. I know a lot of you are probably at work right now, but needless to say, we are just going to keep doing the do. We do the do. This is my scheduled day off, so I'm going to share whatever my experiences are with my day with you, usually in the form of video games or art. And we're still continuing art. We are still motivated. We're going to do a quick recap, of course, and then a disclaimer, and then we're going to get right on into it. So, recap yesterday. Essentially, what we did is we tried to learn a Hoyoverse art style, and learning that Hoyoverse art style involved us trying to get an idea of how the artist would have drawn these shapes. So we chose a character named Anby. Anby gave us the opportunity to learn a little bit more about Hoyoverse, learn about where the artist may have come from, how they may have constructed their character, etc., etc. And then, of course, we took our own liberties, gave some very basic clothing, just kind of idea, where we closed out on the clothing, of which is where we're going to continue on today. We are going to actually learn how to do Ambi's outfit. So we're going to redo this entire thing. I know, crazy, right? We did all this work, and we're just going to erase it and redo it. Why? Because, like I said, if you want to learn a style, just like I am, I'm learning a style completely live with you. Um, then you're going to have to redo everything that you learn ev over and over and over again. And so and then at that point in time, it's basically you're learning muscle memory. You're learning how the strokes feel, giggity, and you are obviously just trying to emulate the style as much as possible. I chosen Hoyoverse for my next new style because I just really adore these characters. I adore how they look. I really like the design. Really, the clothing aspect is what really captivates me because character design isn't so bad. Because in the grand scheme of things, you just need to have a solid base, right? Like what we see here. Um, so that being all said, we need to just continue on and do the thing. So we're just going to create a new thing here. We're going to do Ambi lesson number 2. Ambi lesson number 2. There's lesson number 1, this is lesson number 2. Now, that being said, before we begin though, we are going to be putting some music on, and of course, we are going to be going back with White Bat Audio, and the artist is Karl Casey, Karlcasey, Karl Casey, and he is found on Bandcamp.com, and he is a major synthwave artist, but he does do some metal and some other mixes here and there. But I believe he has an incredible library, and the best part about Karl Casey is that you can get a lot of his music for free or just name your own price. And the best cherry on top of that is that it is all royalty free. You can use it on YouTube, Twitch, whatever, and all you have to do is just simply make sure you credit him. Just credit the artist. It's just that simple, just like what I'm doing right now. You can either type it in your description and put a link to his Bandcamp profile, so that way you can look at music, and anybody else can be interested and look at the music. And then, of course, just credit him. So there you go. The next disclaimer is that we are utilizing HoYoverse's content, HoYoverse's IP. We are going to be utilizing Ambi from HoYoverse. Again, this is a Creative Commons. We are doing it for learning experiences. We are not making money from this. We are not selling this product. We're not selling the art. We're not selling the character. We are not even doing fan art. We are just learning basic artistic construction, reverse engineering, and deconstruction, and so on and so forth. So but we need to make sure that we credit HoYoverse. This is HoYoverse's characters. This is their IP. And at any point in time, if they wish for me to not use their characters for learning purposes, by all means, they can reach out and say, "Hey, stop it! You just stop it, Samurai Kit Kat. You stop it." So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get the music started. And I'm going to adjust the volume to make sure that we are, we got ourselves a good voice to volume mix on music. So I'm going to just go ahead and listen while we're going. That beat always hits pretty good. I think we're good. I think we got a good mix. And of course, if anybody comes in and is like, "Oh my god, your music is too loud," just let me know. So, obviously, what we are going to be doing today is we are going to be learning about clothing. And we are going to really dive in on Ambi's clothes and figure out how the artist would have done that. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to open up, actually import, we're going to import an image. And if I remember right, the last screenshot that I did was, nope, that was not it. That was my thumbnail. Thumbnails, we like thumbnails, right? Thumbnails are fun. So it would have been the next one, import image. Not that one either. That was that was the one because it was too much data for YouTube, so I had to make it smaller. It should be this one. No, it's not that one either. What did I do with my what? Okay, hold on. Hold the phone. Let me figure out which screenshot. My goodness. My goodness. Not that one. Not that one. Okay, so I guess I don't have the screenshot for Ambi. All right, that's fine. Let's just go ahead and grab another one. Ambi official art. Because we only want to use the official art. That's fine. Visit. No, we gotta go here. Let's see here. I am trying to find that picture again. I found it, but it's not giving me what I want. There we go. Now I got it. Print screen. There's Ambi. Right. Not quite the same thing that we had before, but that's fine. Let's get Ambi in frame as best possible because we are going to definitely need her headphones today. We are going to need the headphones today. There. That's fine. We want to definitely fill up the whole thing because again, if this is going to be her illustration, but let's see here. Let's try and get everything in the frame because the weapon 2 is also going to be part of this. So That's good. That's good. That's good. We're gonna raster size this. And then we're gonna go ahead and teardrop that and just fill it. Too easy. Now we have ourselves a blank canvas, so to speak. And then of course we can do our opacities. Always good to do opacity. All right. So first thing, of course, order of operations, we're gonna put that layer on top of that. We are going to be doing our basic shapes. I'm gonna use a size 3 because, as we learned the other day, Ambi, the artist for Ambi, uses a size 4 for the outside and a size 2 on the inside. Okay, so when they do art on the inside, let's see if I can zoom in here maybe a little bit better so you can see. So when they do the outside art, they use a size 4, maybe even a 3, but I think it's definitely a 4. And then when they make art and they draw within their lines, it's a size 2. So I like to use a size 3 because then I can just do it. So now we're going to do the same thing as we did yesterday, right? We're going to go through and get our perspective lines. Our little nose right there. So the perspective lines should go somewhere around here. Perfect. And then our eyes kind of shoot straight across. So something like that. That works. Perfect. Get right on in here. Get nice and close at first. And then we're just going to trace this jawline here because this is what's going to tell us a lot about the head size. And then, of course, I'm getting used to drawing jawlines now, right? So I know from memory already that a jawline is going to be similar to this, right? Just from drawing this over and over again, you know, I can we can make jawlines. We'll get used to that. These anime characters are very traditional, so there's not like a huge thing of like, oh my god, this jawline and how this head is constructed is super crazy different than anything else that we've experienced. So and then of course, like I said, you know, the head is not this, right? That's the hair. The skull is underneath the hair, and there's always going to be like this buffer area where there's space between the skull and the hair itself. So right there, that should be about the spacing between the hair and the skull. Because if we follow this line right here is actually pretty good. This is kind of like her actual head line. So if we just kind of we're just thinking about her, right? We're just trying to figure out how her head actually would be. This is all suggested because we actually really don't know exactly how the Hoyoverse artist draws the head. Right? We're just making assumptions. And sometimes this is where experience comes into play. Something that looks good. You just got to use your imagination a little bit here. But I think that looks pretty good. And so whenever I make a Hoyoverse character, I just know that if I make my jawline like this, then I just need to feel out a decently sized cranium on the top. A lot of anime characters are like this, right? So a lot of forehead head space going on here. And again, it's just all about repetition. It's all about repetition. It's all about doing this stuff over and over again. Get that eye line. So I know that anytime that I make a Hoyoverse style or anime style character, that this spacing, this band right here on the head is essentially where I need the eyeballs to be. Right. So this would be my. We do that. So I already kind of know what's going on here as far as spacing. It's hard to do sometimes over top of art already, and so now I can kind of make my own straight line there. Yeah, it's crooked too. It needs to go more like this. Yeah. See, it's fine. And we can always change lines too, right? We don't have to subject ourselves to uh, just constantly trying to draw the same line again. If you want, like, what you can do is just draw a line like this, right? Circle that line, and then just move it, adjust it however you need it to be. And so I know that it should be right about there. And then if we go back to the art, I'm pretty much on target. So you don't have to continue drawing line after line after line after line and getting it 100% right. Especially for guidelines. This really is kind of, that right there was a lesson for guidelines. When we are doing stuff like this though, these more complex line work and stuff like that, you are going to have to be satisfied with the line art that you're doing. So you're going to have to go back through over and over and over again. You can make minute adjustments, but it's pretty much just like you're making an adjustment on that line itself, and you're not really moving it around too much. But that's more of advanced shit. We're not there yet. We're again just doing the same thing as we did yesterday, just figuring out these shapes that the Hoyo artist may have done. We don't know for sure. We will never know. We will have no idea unless a Hoyo artist has posted their art lesson. They have posted somewhere, like saying, "Hey, look how I draw my characters." We will never see this. And see, yesterday was a lot of discovery, right? Because, I was figuring out, like, okay, well, if the breast is there, then the rib cage is gonna have to go here. I was doing a lot of like guesswork, and so now today, it's not going to be as much guesswork because I'm gonna have that idea already of like, okay, well, we know that from yesterday, this worked. This worked. So we're just going to try and continue that. And figure out, again, I'm sure that they do their chests different than this, but I really don't know. Really have no idea. See, even yesterday, remember what I said about this belly button here? And that it should actually be right here? Because I drew a perspective line, right? And the perspective line makes sense to me. We have to have a fairly uniform line that goes through. And we understand that the belly button sinks in a little bit. And so I'm learning that when I make my line for her torso, I need to go ahead and make a curve, and then a little different here, and then another outward curve like this. And that's the indent for the belly button. So the belly button is a little off center, but again, when we're doing stuff like this, what does it matter? It doesn't matter. Especially when we start getting to clothing. Still not a big deal. Music just slaps, bro. We know the artist should use some form of banding. It's possible. I'm just thinking about it. That there should be some sort of banding involved with all their joints. So they don't actually use a traditional like circle joint like I do. They use an actual like. So we follow this one. Technically, she should have a little bit of her buttock right there, and then that line goes like that. And this artist made her this thigh pretty long, but it's right. It's not entirely too off or different. And we'll check this too. And again, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter so long as it achieves what needs to be achieved here, which is in this instance, it's sex appeal. That's really what it is. That we are trying to achieve an idea of sex appeal. And so if the thigh is a little longer than maybe what it should be, or it is what it is. It doesn't need to be quite anatomically correct. It just needs to get the message out, so to speak. And it's a little big for me is also. There we go. As far as like perspective lines, I mean, there's not a whole lot to do here. Obviously, the artist chose to make the cylinders go this way on this one, and then this way on this one, which makes sense. I mean, it does. This should no, it's gonna go this way. So we change direction. And this one should go this way. Yep. So they changed directions. The perspective lines for the calves change directions from the thighs, which is fine. That's not abnormal. Okay. And we just kind of have to imagine the foot, right? So we have our ankle right about there. We want a representation of it, right? As I had mentioned, clothing takes up space outside of the normal anatomy. And if you plan to put shoes and stuff like that on your characters, then drawing like, toes and the foot anatomically correct and stuff like that, like, we're not doing one of these. Just as an example, we're not. Let's go ahead and put the opacity down. Gee. Whoa, that's not what I wanted at all. There we go. Okay. So we're not doing a traditional foot where we have a heel, then we have our down, and then we have our pad, and then we have our toes, right? And then if we want to draw this, right, we're not doing, if we blink this off, there we go. Yeah, we're not doing this. There's no need to have a sectional foot, because you have your toes, you have your front foot pad, your middle archway, and then you have your heel. That is the 4 sections to a foot. There's a lot of articulation in a foot. I mean, if you look at your own feet, if you can at this point in time, I mean, wiggle your toes, you'll see your toes, and then you'll see the bump in the front, which is that's your front foot pad. Then you have your archway, and then you have your heel. And so, you know, drawing all that stuff, and when you plan to put a shoe on, if you have a heel, like a high heel shoe or something like that, yeah, maybe you want to go a little bit more detailed, because then you know, like as an example, like this right here, like how to put the shoe on. See, it becomes simple after that once you have a pretty good foot. But as far as these tennis shoes go, I mean, we don't need much. But if you want to learn how to do feet, I know that's a popular subject. Just do 4 sections. Do 4 sections and look at references. Look at your own foot. Look at feet online. If you're already into feet, you're already gonna be looking them out online. So just look at them online, and then just do a section at a time. Take the toes, do that section. Then look at that front pad and see how it is in the position that you want it in, and go from there. Like another example would be like, so I want my toes to be like this, right? So the big toe is always going to be obviously the biggest, and then your feet typically there's 3 that are around the same size, and then your last 2 toesies are right there, and then your pad is going to be right about there, and then you have your archway, and so this is the this would be the small side, yes, so this is the large side here, and so this would be like that, and then you have the heel, but you see what I'm getting at. So you'll have 4 sections essentially to the foot. And then you can, you know, your articulation from there is going to be completely based on, again, really using references here. It's hard for me to even imagine, like, okay, well, if I want my toe bent, then I need it like something like this, and then this toe right here can curl in like this. You know, and do one of these, right? Use a reference. Use references. There's your foot lesson for the day. Didn't realize I was going to be doing a foot lesson, but there you go. But I wanted to explain this though, because I think a lot of people would be like, well, why don't you do this and you're just doing this? It's because I plan to put shoes on. There's no point in doing so much extra work if you're not going to show the toes, you're not going to show the articulation of the foot. All I want to know is like, okay, did this should be how the artist, you know, figured out, like, okay, this is where I want my heel to be, so this is where the divot of the shoe is going to be, and so, you know, and start working off of that, right? And then, like I said, you know, you work your spaces around your skin and stuff, especially for like the bulkier your clothing is, the further spacing you have to give outside of these. So let's just say we wanted to give Ambi some high heels, right? Or what, like half high boots. So we're going to go outside of our skin. We're not going to draw off of what the limb is, because that's not realistic. We have to give some space. We have to have space. And so let's just say we want to draw some really cool, like, I don't know, piratey boots or something like that. And so now we got, let's see here. And then of course we want to give some space for the inside, right? Because you know, these are like a flared top or something like that. And then you know, when it starts getting down to these ankle parts and stuff like that, you're going to start, especially with like leather shoes and boots, you're going to have a lot of wrinkles. That's just how it is. That's how it is. And then let's see here. So we really want that. This would be like the, oh, that's really bulky. That is super bulk. But it's not that far off, but it's super bulk. Let's just draw this a little further. And this is just basic mapping. I think that's actually a little too far off. This side looks really good. Something like that. So if we wanted to give Ambi like a crazy pirate boot or something like that, that's how this is the core. This is the core of understanding how to put clothing on your character. You need to be able to give space. And when you do stuff, when you flare out anything from the body, it's called a butterfly effect because it starts looking really good. And, you know, if we start adding like really cool things, like let's just say we add these boots have like, I don't know, some sort of bolt coming off the side of them like this on either side. And then this whole front part, maybe there's like an armor piece, right? So we need to draw off of that. And this is, again, layered. This is how you do this, right? This is why we're learning this. So we have the main boot, and let's just say, so this is like the nose of the boot here, which of course it is, right? All right, so how do we add parts onto it? Well, we got to give space. We have to give space for this. So we're going to try and follow this curving a little bit. Maybe she has like shit, man. Maybe she has like a really cool like pointed armor piece. So this pointed armor piece is going to go right like this. And it's just going to go right over top because maybe we want the armor piece like really big. And it's just it's a layered armor piece, so it just seems to keep going up and up and up. Whatever. That's huge. So I probably wouldn't do something like that. But let's just say we want something that like hugs over top of the shoe, which I think essentially, yeah. So they have this, and if you notice, so here's the actual shoe, right? Up here is something that goes over top of that shoe. See this little lip right there? It goes over top of their original shoe. So if we want to do this as well with our fancy dancy boot that we're coming up with, then we need to draw a lip on either side. Give that space. Come back across. And this may take me a little bit to, get the right lines, but as you see here, now we have a nice strap. We've created a strap across this boot, and then we can keep adding on top of it, right? And we can add like, I don't know, a buckle up here or some shit like that. I don't know. We can do whatever we want. And then of course, with buckles they have extra belt there, and then they have a belt that, whatever the fuck you want to call it, the tag end of the strap. Maybe it comes off like this. And then of course we have like the bottom of the boot here that we have yet to still do. So we're just gonna map it out. Just give more depth. Doesn't necessarily come off of this original shoe. We just want more boot. And so let's draw a tooth. And as you see here, I'm going past my guideline because I'm creating more depth. I'm creating more I'm just I don't know how best to explain this. Let me think of how the best to explain this. We're giving detail, we're giving volume, we're adding sustenance. There's a lot of words it could possibly use, but so as an example, if we just kept this boot like this, right, and I just drew lines like this, sure, that's an artistic style, right? We could do this, we could do that, right? But if we look at Ambi's shoes, let's boost her opacity up. She has a piece here, and then a piece that comes off. This is a whole separate piece. And this is a whole separate piece. See how much depth there is, how cool that shoe is? And now, granted, with this, we could do even more, right? We could add another bump and bump right there. And make like, she's got like fucking like toe beans or some shit, right? That's the point I'm getting at. Is like, there isn't really much other than right here that there's like a straight line, but even then this is disrupted by this strap right here. This is artistic styling. This is an artistic direction. This isn't something you have to do. This is something that the Hoyoverse artist does, and I want to do it too. So if I want to do it too, then I have to be able to recognize that I can't just make a straight line and then put some lines in it, and that's now the tread of the shoe, whatever the case would be. I need to be able to add these lines and things. So let's take that off real quick. I need to be able to understand that, okay, this section right here, this is the most forward part of my boot. I'm going to go past my guideline and do something like this. See how much depth? Look how cool that is. Right, that's a cool freaking shoe so far. And then we're gonna add that second piece over here, and then we're gonna add a second piece over here. And another thing too about art is like you're gonna find lines that you really like. Like I fucking this right here. I'm gonna use a different color. This right here, I really like that. That is a solid, like, I really like this connection point right here. And so I'm gonna try and emulate this on this other side too. And that's just kind of the whole part of it, right? You find things that you like, and then maybe I want a split there and a partial split there and a partial split there. And then maybe I want a ring here, and it just, you know, there's like an extra design. Like this is clothing 101. Like we are just going ape shit right now. We are just absolutely going crazy with this idea of this boot on Ambi. And then when we zoom out, right, you know, it's not too bad. Granted, it needs a lot of refinement, you know, but this is all guidelines, and clothing requires a lot of guidelines. Clothing requires a lot of layers. I wouldn't necessarily, excuse me, I had to stretch this morning. Still getting my coffee in me. Let's take a sip. I'm about to get more coffee, ladies and gentlemen. More coffee. I need more coffee. But like, as an example, this belt here would have been on a separate layer. This would have been on a separate layer. And the front of the boot would also be on a separate layer. Now, would they all three of them be on their own separate layers? Maybe not. Maybe I would just create one whole layer for all three of them. Just, you know, building off of the boot. And then anything additional to that, let's just say this was my original idea of this, this, and this, right? And then now I'm like, oh, well, I want to add something up here and do something over here. Well, then maybe I'll have this whole separate layer for however many things I want to add there, and just have, two layers instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Try to manage your layers so you have as few as possible and not, a shit ton. Like when you start getting into a ton of layers, and I've already taught this before, you are going to have a pretty pretty awful time with organizing. Even if you were to name stuff, it would be still pretty difficult. So we're gonna go back. We're gonna pretty much undo everything we just did. Because again, I got the main part of this lesson done. You can just stop watching right now. You already understand, right? No, you don't. We especially that was clothing 101. That was clothing 101. So let's recap on clothing 101. Leave space outside of your skin. You need to be able to leave space outside of your skin. And then we're just going to work with this right here. Okay. And then if you want to add anything over top of your basic shape that you made, you need to add a new layer, like I just did, and draw over top of that layer. And then, of course, anything that is over top of this basic shape needs to have space as well. Everything has volume. Everything has volume. And once you understand volume and that all you need to do is give a little extra space, then you can create a lot of cool things. And people love volumetric things. People love volume, love to see let's just say we want to draw a power cell here that has like some sort of antenna thing coming off of it. Maybe not on that side. Or like there's like pipes or wires coming off, right? Or the world is your oyster. You can do whatever you want. The world is absolutely your oyster. We can do little smaller doodads and stuff around the sides there, and we want to create like a belt system. So there's like maybe there's like look at this. Watch this. So now we're gonna create another layer because this is gonna be on top of what is already here. So we're going to create a belt that let's see here. It goes this way. Again, creating that space. See how much space I'm giving for this belt? It's kind of just a generic design. Let's see here. Let's put like a holster on this side here. So let's go this way. Let's see here. Go ahead and ban the bot. We like banning bots. We like to ban bots. Bots. We like to ban bots. We like to ban bots. And then we're gonna have another strap that comes right underneath this piece here. And it just comes right straight across. And so now we have a volume of that. And maybe the tag end of these straps come out this way or something. Actually, we want them, let's see, if there's going to be a holster here, then maybe we'll have the tag straps actually come off of the belts themselves, right? And then we'll have like a connection point here. So we'll draw like, again, more space. Right? There's now empty space there. Empty space here. And the reason being is because this essentially is in the way, right? But we can have it hug it. We can have this holster hug it. And then based on the direction of the leg, right, this holster should be pretty straightforward. And then we can add straps to this. And then we got the knife that's now in there. But as you can see, like basically what I'm getting at is like you can go all sorts of out on everything. So we got like the leather backing here. We have the armor plates here. We have a belt system here. We have some extra leather protrusions on this side for the boot. And then we have a side holster here, and then more straps that, again, there's space outside of the holster here because the straps go around this holster. They wouldn't probably be this loose, granted, but there would be volume there. And then from there, we would have, our knife, and then, this would be like a checkered pattern or something like that for the handle. You can do whatever you want. And there you go. Again, this is how you do layered clothing. And as you've seen, I did use a different color here because when we do clothing, we definitely want to be outside of the base that we're working with. So since I used blue for this base for clothing, when we get to actually Ambi's clothing, we will be using red. Or any color, it doesn't matter what color you're using. Use purple, anything that contrasts heavily against this. So like red is the best choice. You could use green if you wanted to. It's still a little light and it's not that different, as you can tell. It's not a huge difference there. Blue, darker blue would work just fine. Pink, purple, magenta, see, that works just fine. Just any color that contrasts against your light base color. So like if you use yellows or bright pinks or something like that, this isn't going to be good enough for me anyways, to really say, okay, well, I can see what I'm doing here. I can't see shit. So darker colors, so that way you know what you're doing for your clothing. All right. Let's complete these 2 layers here. Right. And see how nice it is. So let's say you really didn't like how any of that was. You just, oh man, oh god, that's so crazy. This is why making clothing on different layers is really beneficial for you. Let's see here, I'm gonna turn down my own music on my side. Just a little loud for me. A little loud right there. But we are going to boost that up on your end. Yeah, so you'll hear it better than I will. There we go. All right. So yeah, you definitely need to be able to put clothing on separate layers. As you level up your clothing as you go, right? So that is just basic clothing 101 knowledge. Laid it all on you. I laid it all on you. And of course, I did not do this on a separate layer, so then this is the problem that you run into as well. So if you don't do things on a separate layer, then you're going to find yourself doing exactly what I'm doing, which is being super time consuming and erasing lines and stuff, because, well, if I erase this, I also erase my blue line too, and then I'm gonna have to go back through and redraw my line work. Anytime that you can mitigate redrawing or anything, just try your best. Sometimes it's hard to remember to make a new layer for things, and you're gonna do everything on one layer and you're like, shit,
why the hell did I just draw all of this on one layer? Why? Why did I draw everything on one layer? So do your best to not draw everything on one layer, especially if you are adding to your base. So needless to say, let's keep going on. You know, as far as like this whole arm thing, because this is a connect. Here's the armpit, right? So this is the one thing I do not know about the artist is how the hell they went from this kind of shaping, because we're missing a shoulder piece here. But the shoulders do not react this way. So I feel like they do this and then they simply just do a little bit more advanced of a line like this. They just kind of know what to do. It's a we know what we're doing. This is what this is. We know what we're doing. I don't need lines or anything like that to tell me or guidelines to tell me where I need to put my shoulders and arms and stuff. Now, obviously, too, you might also be wondering, like, you know, is explaining everything like I am actually helping me too? Yes, it is. Because really, I'm teaching myself, which is weird to say. I'm teaching myself while I am also teaching you. Again, we're just kind of having to use our imagination where these arm pieces or the arms themselves like stop being, you know, the bicep area, and then we have the elbow, which of course again this artist has to use bands like this. In my personal opinion, I feel like they use bands. And then something like this. And then of course your forearm has a little bit of a like bulge, and so you know just kind of emulate that as best as you can. Trying to wonder if this section here is what I'm like really into. Because if we look at how much spacing, and we're just trying to figure this out, right? There is a lot of spacing for her sleeves. And so her elbow area is approximately this. Let me use red here. Let me use red. So this sleeve is essentially like this. The basicness of the sleeve. And so this is the space that we have. So if that's true, and we try to create that space again over here, from where this is, yeah, so that's approximately where her elbow would be, per se, be right here. That does look better. Yeah, So I drew it too short. So I need to remind myself that I need to draw this section longer. I need not be so short with my arms and stuff. And this is part of that learning process. So now I know that if I draw a character in the future, any character in the future, I need to go ahead and just get that elbow out. Oops. Let's see here. So our hand is like this. Too far, too far. So I should be approximately right with that other breast. Yeah. We're good. We're good there. Ambi definitely is on the smaller side of things. That's perfectly fine. We'll draw this line a little bit more curvy. We don't have like a straightness there. That was too, yeah, that's a little better, but the armpit is like right there, so we need to even draw this. Yeah, we need to draw this even further in. So armpit is right here. Something like that. Again, though, when we are going for clothing and stuff like that, this isn't hugely important. It just needs to make sense. And of course, any of the bearskin parts are obviously very emphasized because that's, you know, that's the appeal sections, the appealing sections. Very basic hand layout, both hands. Very basic. Like when you start diving in deep, you'll start realizing like how basic these hands are, and like they just there's just nothing to them. Interesting. Just trying to figure out how that anatomically works. That should be about right. I know that there is a bend here, right? So that's about right how that would work. And of course we don't know what's happening over here because it's blocked by the jacket. But again, if you just have an idea, we can always go back, even when we are developing our own style from this. We can fix the hands. We can do the hands. We can do whatever we want. But we're just learning proportions. We're trying to figure out again the basic shapes and lines of Ambi here. in actuality, after seeing this, yeah, it'd be fine. I mean, we could add like do something like this, but I mean, yeah, that's fine. That works fine. Everyone likes a little bit of cheek, little cheeky, little cheeky. Yeah, it's almost like he draws like he or she draws like maybe like a triangle here, like a loose triangle, and then adds the arms onto it. This kind of makes sense to me because then this would really kind of go with the whole. They do a box, and then when they do breasts, they kind of go this way. Which this is how you do breasts too. Right? So if you have your neck, so this is how I usually draw things. And here's your shoulders. Typically, once I have my cylinder for my neck, I will do lines like this. So an upside down, like loose triangle. And then my perspective. And then from here, I will essentially add my breasts. Like I said, most breasts are these teardrops. They could be pretty much any shape that you want. Clavicle will be up here. You know, whatever. And then I draw perspectives on these because, again, I kind of want to figure out where, like, other things would be, anatomical features would be. So, you know, something like that. That is essentially breast 101. Granted, you know, we would maybe spread them further apart and then add more to it here. It kind of depends on the clothing. Obviously, like more sport clothing would be like they would be tighter together, but with maybe like a bathing suit, it'd be more space in between here, and you know, so on and so forth. There's a lot of things you can do with things that hang from the body. But so long as you have a chest type thing and you have your perspective on there, adding breast or whatever to the chest area, whatever, you know what I'm getting. It's the same kind of idea with clothing, is you just want to add on top of whatever it is that you're doing. But what I was basically trying to get at though is I see this with Ambi as like this would be like their idea of a breast line, and then this triangle section like this would be how they do their chest mapping. So they might very well do a square or a rectangle. We were just guessing. We like to guess. Okay, so I would say officially we have a base. We have a base. So now we're going to make another layer. And we're going to pick another light kind of layer. Let's do like an orange. Yeah, let's do orange. And then now we're going to go back through and do facial features and hair and stuff. And we're still not going to be worrying about headphones and stuff like that. Nothing to do with anything right now. So we're still in character development. And so obviously we know that our point is right here for hair. And like I said, there is space. I can't say this enough. Anything that is coming off of your base must have space. Base space. Must have base space. You cannot draw hair like this. That is not how it is done. It's Gotta come off the skull. It has to. You can argue, well, that's just my artistic direction, but here's the thing. If you're trying to emulate anime and stuff like that, and or you want a certain style, you can't compromise. You have to be able to figure out and understand how these artists do this. And really, when I'm drawing this, like, this is very natural to me. I'm learning about these tendrils, and as you notice, I'm not being exact. Like, I can if I want to, but I don't have to be. Cool thing here is, like, this is a very much half circle, but her hairline is interesting, but I think this was all altered over time. So she probably, this is her hairline that he drew, and he just threw he and or she threw this on top like that, right? So that's fine. We're just gonna assume that that's what they did. And really, we're gonna do this. And using multiple colors is also encouraged. Using one single color is okay, but in the grand scheme of things, I would try to use different colors, because that's what's really going to help you differentiate things. And of course, make sure that you put stuff on different layers. Hair technically goes down like this. This is a very interesting, like, because her earphone technically goes in like this, right? But yet we have this hair that comes down there. So I didn't draw all the way, so I'll just alter that a little bit. There we go. I think for that. Excellent. And like I mentioned last stream, like, I really don't like this weird back hair thing going on. And so I altered it to kind of match the front. So we're gonna do that again. We're gonna alter it. And of course, you know, another thing too, when you're developing a style and you really want to emulate an artist, don't be afraid to throw your own flavor into it, right? Like, you don't have to be completely bound by this whole thing. Like, most likely I will be doing my own hair and things, but it just has to make sense. It's got to be able to make sense. Like I said, my goal is to make a Hoyoverse character that you know, looks like it belongs in Hoyoverse. Looks like it belongs in Zenless Zone Zero or any of their other games. These tendrils are very fun to make. I've never done them before. And this is kind of difficult for me to, like, imagine like doing this, but see how I gave Ambi more sharp edges, kind of like the front of her hair there. I just like that. This is me. This is me. This is me. obviously this back of the hair like this, so this should go like this, like that. I'm using my brain, and even though this contradicts the headphones here, well, this technically would be like this, right? So if we took this away, her hair should look like that. It looks good. This is some nice hair. And this is very basic. Like, this isn't too intricate. Like I said, you have your point here that you start with, and you just draw downwards, and then when you get to the halfway point, wherever you have this tilted on your sphere, then you switch your direction and you go this way. So it's kind of like a firework. Just imagine like a firework. So it's shoo, 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 shoo. There you go. That's how you do bangs. And this is also the reason why I drew the circles, because I'm not saying that the artist does this as well. This is what I would do. Like, if I want my bangs on this side, then I would have had something like this, right? See? That's how I would have drawn the bangs if I wanted them on this side. So it's completely just your own flavor of where, as far as when you're developing hairstyles. And as far as like hairstyles are concerned, since we're on the subject, I know that can be very difficult too, because we look at Ambi's hair, and again, like, this is why I have never really done these tendrils, is because I'm just like, well, how the fuck? Like, I just don't think about this stuff. I don't think about these loose hairs coming off in this way. But now I'm thinking about it. Now since I have this experience, now I want to be able to do. Some anime characters, we know we have like the little tuft right there, which that's fucking cute as hell if you really want to think about it. That's really cute. Maybe they should have gave Ambi a little tuft right there. Maybe you want another tendril this way, right? We can go crazy with this stuff. Now that I've learned this, we can add more tendrils to Ambi's hair, and do all sorts of things. Now that I understand that these tendrils really do add some nice volume and effect. So yeah, I mean, we can go crazy. We can add like 2 or something like that. Really give her like some interesting hair. But needless to say, you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm now learning. This is now something I have learned just by doing this. Just by going through and doing some trace work and trying to understand how the artist did this stuff. Now I understand that if I have a good hair base, a nice solid straight circular or spherical hair base, then adding these tendrils is going to add dynamics and volume and so on. And now we're gonna work on the eyes. Private eyes are watching you. Doing everything. It's hard to tell what actual shape these eyes are, because in the grand scheme of things, a lot of it is hidden. Also, quick note, obviously I'm doing this right now, but I would not be doing the eyes on the same layer as the hair. I would, because they are separate, right? The hair is off of the face, the eyes are actually part of the face, so we do not want the eyes or any facial features on the same layer as hair. But the reason why I'm doing this right now is because we're not doing this kind of lesson. We're trying to get to the clothing aspect of things. So really, I'm just kind of like, okay, this is all black right here. This is all shaded, so I'm just going to do a quick shade work to emulate that. This is all shaded. This was already figured out. We've already did everything here. Another surprising thing about this is I'm surprised to not see this, which is like an eyelid or eyelid indicator. But that's an artistic flavor. I don't have to do it. Of course, the other eyebrow is hidden, but this eyebrow right here. Go. Ambi's eyebrows. Looking at the blush marks. The blush marks. Like, oh, can't believe you found me. Can't believe you found me like this. I'm sweaty now. I'm all sweaty. Oh no. Oh. she's been hard at fighting. She's been fighting hard, man. But yeah. And then nose wise was like right here, right? Let's tone up that opacity because I need to find out. Yeah, it's a nose right there. So nose right there. Mouth, very small. Tongue. There we go. Really, I mean, truly, Ambi is a fairly simple design. Like, she's not like overly complex, and in that simplicity is what a lot of people really like and enjoy. And as an artist and as a game designer, you do want your core characters to have some simplicity. Ambi, I feel like, was probably Ambi and Nicole and Billy were clearly their first characters that they designed. In my personal opinion, that Wise and Bell as the proxies. Wise and Bell could be more plain. I feel like they're the first, but as far as like the actual characters, playable characters, Ambi was clearly their first character. In my personal opinion, probably wasn't. Who knows? I don't know. I'll probably never know. I know something that you don't. I know something that you'll never know. Okay, so now we're good there. Now we're gonna go and figure out clothing. Woohoo! We're doing clothing now. So, as you know, create a whole new layer. Create a whole new layer. And I am going to use red. Yeah, that'll be fine. And so now, each of these parts of this clothes. So let's just talk about this real quick. This arm is going to be a separate layer. This arm is going to be on its own layer. The chest of the jacket area is going to be on its own layer. This undershirt probably on its own layer. Belt on its own layer. Skirt on its own layer. This crazy sheath thing back here is going to be on its own layer. This leg on its own, well, maybe both of these legs, since they're so far apart, they have nothing to do with each other. They might be on their on the same layer, and the shoes might be on the same layer. It kind of just depends on the artist and how they want to map this all out. But I guarantee you, this stuff up here was most certainly on separate layers. With how god tier this artwork is, maybe they can just do it and not give two shits. Maybe. All right. So first and foremost, we need to figure out the basics of this jacket. This would be something that would be like the first thing I would do, right? And so as I'm looking through this, I'm just going to start figuring out what shapes this main jacket would have had. looks right. Definitely flared that out. Here's the thing. Okay, so it does go underneath here. Okay. It's hard to tell with the opacity that low. So it does go underneath here. Of course, we're following that same perspective line, right? So we're on the same perspective line. Ah, I see. So they use this crease right here underneath the breast. See what I'm saying? See, I'm discovering this for myself. So they made sure that this crease right here, so they may have drawn this line just like this and then put this off like that. And then they have the breast around it like that. And this is pretty simple construction. They didn't really do a whole lot of volume. The fact that they go downwards though like this does add a lot of detail. Like that one downward stroke there adds a lot of detail to this job. Okay. So I'd imagine that is the base coat. Add another layer. Tone down the opacity on this a little bit just because I don't want to get lost in the sauce. I want my next lines to be brighter than these ones here. And so that's another lesson. Your first clothing layer, I would probably drop it to about 50%. Take it down to 50% and do what you want on top of it next. So the next part I'm going to worry about is the hoodie. And so I would say that the hoodie probably started out with a straight line just like this. Something like that. He or she made it sit right on top of the shoulders, so we're just going to make sure we highlight that. As you see, I'm not worried about any of these little details because these details don't truly matter at this point in time. I'm just trying to figure out how they may have structured the this hoodie here, and this seems about right. Hoodie part. This line here is a little off. That works. Okay. So they created space here. So knew that, and this is just their artistic direction. I don't have to necessarily do this, but they clearly made sure that there was. Like the hoodie is coming off the neck, and that makes sense. You'd want that anyways, no matter what. So when we were making loose clothing, especially kind of like this. I mean, this is very loose clothing. You definitely want like a backdrop, because like this is like the inside of that clothing, right? Well, this is the better example, especially when you do this. So all of this inside here is going to be darker than the outside, and that's kind of a no fucking duh thing, right? No duh. The stuff in the inside is going to be darker. Okay. Now the question is, did they do these straps next? They'd have to. They'd have to have done those straps next. Go back to layer 3 though. There is a pocket here. I think they would have drawn that at the time that they would have made those. Back to layer 4. Okay, so this strapping here. Just trying to make sense of it. Let's get that opacity up a little bit. I'm going to draw this again, because if we follow the line, right, this is what artists do. If we want something there and it needs to be believable that it continues from behind something or it continues around something, we continue that line. So even though, let's as an example here, let's I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. Let's go off here. So let's say I have a cylinder, right? Or something that resembles a cylinder, whatever. But I want something to go around this object. And so we could do this, right? Well, does this back of this elliptical match with this right here? Well, if I continue this, no, it doesn't. It does not match. And obviously vice versa, it does not match. Artists will always make sure that the lines match up, and then what they'll do is erase that. And so now this line matches this line if I continue through the back of it, because we have to imagine, this is imagination, we have to imagine that this is there even though we cannot see it. And if you really pay close attention to artwork where people just do this, right, and then they create their band and they go off this way and so on and so forth, versus someone who continues their curve See how much nicer that is? This is fine, right? I mean, there's plenty of artists who do this. There's plenty of examples that you'll see, but this right here, it's just cleaner. It doesn't have this weird oscillation or anything like that. Continue your line through the back of an object, and just remember, of course, like why layers are important. I'm gonna be a broken record for a lot of things, ladies and gentlemen, because this is what learning is about. You got to be able to repeat things over and over and over and over again until you fucking got it in your fucking brain. If you don't have this in your brain, then it's not going to work. Have it in your brain. Always follow through with your lines. Make your elliptical. That way when you're ready to erase it, it actually looks like it belongs there. Don't do this stuff here unless you want this to be, don't do this right here unless you want this to be your style. Follow through lines. Follow through. So, what does this mean for what we were working on, right? When we're trying to figure out how this artist did these straps and why I'm having a difficult situation with it. Well, it's because I'm not sure exactly how they followed through with their lines. Did they actually follow through with their lines? Well, if I follow this through here, right? Let's go back to the layer that we need to be on. So, let's just say that they did these circles first. Let's just say they did this. I know they didn't. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I don't know. And then they kind of want to do like a loop around, right? That should be how one of these straps are. Let's see if we can do this a lot better. This is going to take a little bit of time. So I'm going to do what I see. I'm going to do what I see. This is what I see. Because obviously I don't know what's happening here. This is the problem area. So, by proxy, Zen the Zero Talk, by proxy, this line should continue in this direction like this. And same with this one. Approximately. This one seems more of like a straight line. Like I don't see any bend to it whatsoever. I'm gonna draw what I see. And then as far as these lines lining up, be something like this. And of course, this whole middle section here is irrelevant, but we're trying to figure this out, right? We're trying to, how would this artist have done this? It's very strange, like actually seeing this and dissecting it in this way. It's very interesting that this strapping is done this way. You want my personal take? Do you want my personal take of what I would have done? So if I take all this back, and knowing my perspectives, right? So I have this elliptical line right here. Which goes in this direction, and then of course I have my line here that goes this direction. I have my breasts, I know that have right here and right here, right? So I have like this essentially spherical bump, mind you, something like this. Well, if I have a strap, here's the button, and then this one is supposed to be underneath the breast, which it is. Then this button would be like this, and then I would have a raised strap and come down like that, right? And then this one here, this button would be more like this. And then this one, so let's make a little bit more detail here. All right, and this is supposed to be underneath the breast here, right? This button might be a little bit more like this. And so my strap would actually do one of these. I think that looks pretty good. This to me follows the curve, follows that bump, right? Of the perspective. That's a perspective line. Follows it down. This one follows it this way as well. And so if we do this on this side, right? So the button is facing this way, and this button is pretty much flat facing us too. I don't believe that button should be flat facing this way. It should be a little bit more elliptical. And even the other button should be a little bit more elliptical. And again, what kind of judging and critiquing do I have? You know, right? I can't do that. Now this one, yes, because the way that the jacket is made, yes, this is 100% right. This one is good too. These two buttons are great. These two buttons, however, I don't know. Like, they're interesting. I just don't know if I would believe that or not. I don't think I would actually believe that. This one here is a maybe. This one's a maybe because it is kind of this area is facing towards us, so that one makes sense. This though, if her breast is really like this, right? It should be laying on top of it. Yeah, I believe I may have found a mistake. But again, as I say, and will continue to say, when you get to this level of artwork, most people are not going to give a flying shit. They're just gonna love and ooze over this character because it is a fucking fantastic design. I'm just noticing things by dissecting this artwork, and just my own level of understanding of things and how things should or should not be. And even I get it wrong, right? I mean, I'm gonna get it wrong. The artists are gonna get it wrong. Everyone's gonna get some of this stuff wrong, and it just is what it is. But needless to say, since I know that's how I would feel about this, I would do my own work. But we're gonna continue and just keep on keeping on with this, right? And by all means, if you think that I was right with that, let me know in the comments. If you don't think I was right with that assessment, again, let me know in the comments. Give me a like or a dislike. That's right, give me a like or a dislike. Do it. I don't care. Do it. Do it. But again, this was all in understanding, like, how did this artist do this? How did they do their strapping? What line work was involved? Because that's how you're going to understand how to make your own clothing and stuff. So they clearly did something like this. Similar. Something similar to this. And maybe at this point in time, no, they wouldn't have done this just yet. Maybe not, maybe not. And then maybe add the zipper at this point. Which, again, looking at if this is a zipper, correct? That's what this is emulating. Where is the zipper at? Is it underneath here? Because based on how coats work, right? If the zipper is up here, and this is how this coat goes, right? Then the zipper is doing the wrong thing. Because if the zipper is up here, here's your zipper, whatever. Well, if you zip it back down, what's going to happen? Well, technically it's going to zip this up. So these are going to be cinched together like this. And then this top part is going to be like this. Let me get rid of some of this noise. And so what I'm basically getting at is there should be a zipper somewhere. I would say, let's see here. If I'm doing it right now, I'm zipping up my coat. It should be located on the right side. So there should be a zipper right here. So if we're emulating this to be an actual zipper, then something like that would make sense. Or maybe it would be hang down a little bit more. And it wouldn't be too big, right? We wouldn't have like a huge like accessory right there. But these are things I think about as an artist. Is, you know, is this believable? Granted, this is pure design, right? This is all design. But do I want to add a zipper here? Should I put a zipper there? Was this thought about? Did the artist think about adding a zipper to this? Maybe they thought it was just too much and they just took it out. In the grand scheme of things, you know, who cares? It's your personal decision as an artist of whether you're going to do that or not. Are you going to be that detailed? Well, in my personal personal opinion, there we go, personal opinion of this, if you're gonna go this fucking detailed, I feel like you should have probably added a zipper. Something that emulates a zipper. You know, even if it's like a little tiny tag or something like that. Yeah, like that would have still added some depth to this coat, and knowing that it's a jacket with a zipper. That's just me. That's just me again. Okay, so we got this section done. So we're gonna go and drop the main section to 25%. And then this other section we just did to 50%. Okay. Another layer. And now we are on things such as the holes for the drawstrings. Right, so there's that. And then now we're on this interesting like strap piece here, of which it's very interesting. Very, very interesting indeed. Add some space because this is clearly some cloth. So let's see if we can a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little better. A little better. And essentially, as you see here, they basically made like a cross shape. I didn't add any depth to any of this down here. I decided to add some crazy circle there. Circles here. Of course, they have like a trim line. Which, you know, you can always add this later. But basically, this is what this little bulge is right here on the side, right there. That's what that little bulge is. This is that. Zoom in there. So that bulge right there is this trim line. Follow that through. And obviously I'm not doing this exact because again, we're just kind of trying to learn where they got things. Now this section right here, I don't know when this was decided to do. Obviously, we have the singular shape, but I'm sure this was just while they're coloring it and stuff like that, and adding designs, because right now we're just trying to figure out the shapes, right? And if we take this off, this is kind of like what we got going on right now. It's very busy, right? It's very busy. But as you noticed, I've been able to kind of just focus on one thing at a time. And because of that, you know, even though this looks busy, well, it only looks busy now since we've zoomed out. Like it's a lot going on. But since we've been working on this, I feel like maybe this is just personally me. I've been able to just kind of just focus on each of these parts individually. And I don't care about what's happening or what we have already done. None of that matters, because we're still just trying to figure out, okay, well, how did this come to be? And we're figuring that out right now. Looks like there's also this like thing that comes off of her hair right there. Go ahead and add that right. There's also there's some interesting stuff going on. I think there's like this circular thing going on right here. I can see bits of green. If we up the opacity, you see the green. See how the green is poking through right there? Let's see, let's take that back real quick. So this green is going up the side right here, and then of course is right here with trim. So in the essence, they would have done something like this. It's right here. Yeah. That's about right. So now that we have this mess of clothes, right? Let's go back to our first layer, which is the under jacket. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to erase everything that is underneath all of this. That is what's the word I'm looking for? Underneath any of these extra parts, right? We're just going to go ahead and get rid of it, because we don't need it no more. Especially in the chest area. Right here is where I really want to make sure I do my erase work. I'm going to the next layer. Erase. Of course, as you're doing this yourself, or you're developing your own clothing, you're going to know what lines to erase. You're going to know what ones you want to keep, what ones you don't want to keep, what ones are in the way, what's not in the way, etc., etc., etc. You're going to know this stuff. And then the last one is where I have any of my basic things. And of course, I wouldn't know I'd be putting a sword here, but I wouldn't. So at this point in time, I wouldn't actually erase this line, even though I know there is a sword right here, right, that covers that line up. I didn't make the sword yet, so I can't erase a line that actually isn't blocked by anything. Again, to why you need to have layers for every separate piece and separate thing that you do, because then you can go back through and exactly what I'm just showed you. If this sword is over top of that line, then I'm going to be erasing it like this, and then it's going to make sense, right? Just like that. There you go. So if you haven't done it yet, don't prepare for it, because one, you wouldn't know anyways, and two, make sure that you select that layer that has that line work that you want to delete, and go ahead and do it. But needless to say. And then so now if we take all these layers and bump them to 100% opacity, we pretty much have, let's see here, okay, so this one here, we need to erase this line there. These are just perspective lines. I was using them as examples. I'm blinking it on and off because I'm seeing what I should and should not erase. Overall, that's pretty good. So if we blink off Ambi here, essentially that is Ambi's jacket. And of course, when we go to our final line art, we'll make all of this much smoother. We do things in one line. We won't have any of the sketch work and stuff like that. All the lines will be connected, etc., etc., etc. It's been interesting to learn some interesting features of this, and of course, Ambi also has plenty of other like details. Like you see all this like line work right here, right? Or this like I don't know what that is right there. And then of course, most of her straps and stuff have a trim line that goes around, etc., etc. So there's some additional details, but we would add that in our final draft of her jacket. And so that's what we're going to do next. And we're going to leave it at that because this is a lot of information for people to take, and it's almost been 2 hours. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a final. We are going to do a refinement line work for Ambi's jacket, of which I'm not even gonna use this guide anymore. I don't want that at all. I don't need it anymore until I do. I don't need it until I do, and that's so now we're going to, because everything's at 100%. I want to blink off her hair because I don't want that in the way. And we could just blink off the whole base, right? Because I already know we have the shape, we have everything right here. So we have nothing distracting us from the clothing. And you can do this any way you want, it doesn't matter. But I have nothing distracting me from my clothing. And so now what I want to do is take all of these layers that we've made this jacket, and remember, like I said, the less layers that we have, the better. I'm going to merge these together, so merge selected layers, so now everything is on one single layer. And I am now going to put that opacity to my favorite, you know what my favorite is, 20%, and we're going to add a new layer. Now, this, I am going to just go ahead and I don't normally do black because black is like my final line art, right? But we will use black just to give you, well, no, I don't want to use it. I'm just trying to decide how best to show this stuff, right? I don't teach much or show much of anything or show my processes and stuff, so explaining these things and doing a good job for all of you is a little difficult. So we're going to stay red, but we're going to start defining these things, and I am going to use the pen tool, so we are now going to have good definition for what we're doing. Again, we're defining everything. Making those nice lines that we want to keep. That we don't want to keep, whatever. Make these shapes connected better. Now we could do not so much cheese this per se, but we can do something like this. Woo, that's a hella line. Go to. Might have to do a continuous curve. Nah, we're gonna be chuds. And just do that. A lot of this is gonna be erased anyway, so I'm not too concerned with how thick or how not thick it gets. Giggity. Now, noticing that there is this seam line here that is on this jacket, I don't see it on this side. So either this is a pocket and only for this side, and it doesn't exist on this side. Not sure. It's clearly a style choice, so we're just gonna roll with it. And as you notice, I'm not really using the reference too much because I got the idea, right? I know that there's trim around these straps and stuff, and etc. etc. So like it just doesn't. I don't need to really see that because I've been witnessing it this whole time. I've been looking at it, so I don't need to be reminded of where that is or anything of that nature. Now, this is a perfect example of what I taught you guys before. Guys, gals, dudes, dudettes, so on and so forth. Does this line meet up with this line? Because this jacket is a whole jacket unless there's some weird split thing in the back, right? So, does that line Okay. It kind of does. Kind of does. Could probably make it work because, we are, you know, but needless to say, it might be a little off. They might have done like a wave or something like that, or, there are some attributes to that would cause you to do a line like this. But obviously, I would have, as myself, this would be what I would have done. If I could get my arm working this morning. If I could get my arm working this morning, that would be great. That'd be great. Let's go back a few steps. I clearly have where I want that to start. I would have done something like that. And so now I have a uniform inside. Like I now know that this all is existing. This all does the things. Now, granted, like I said, with that being said, though, maybe, but I would have already pre-drawn this. I would have like had this idea already. Maybe there's a split in the jacket like this or something. So I would have been like, okay, well, this clearly does something else, or like a better example would be like this. And so, something like that could exist. Needless to say, though, this, in my personal opinion, is clearly a solid jacket. So there should be a solid line that goes the way through. Whether that is what's actually being done or not, hard to say. Good morning, wife.
Like a good neighbor.
All right. Let's see here.
State Farm is there.
Yeah.
Jake from State Farm, everybody.
State Farm, baby. State Farm. Not sponsored. That rough, huh? Trim, baby, trim. Showing that depth of this material. Like I said, we'll do it better as we go along, but this is just refinement. Like, this is our rough draft of refinement. Now with this, we could actually use a lasso tool. and then just use the fill. I think this is actually, oh, that's solid black on the inside or not. Let's see. Yeah, not really. And then at this stage, he or she probably did go ahead and start mapping out these designs, because this is the time to do it. Now, granted, you should be doing this if you're doing this kind of detail. You should be doing this on another layer. But right now, and at this point in time, we're not really too worried about this. If I was serious and I was really doing my own thing right now, then sure, yeah, I'd put it right on a new layer and away we go. But at this point in time, that's not necessary. This is just learning. We're just learning. Robots. Yep. They're just a bunch of robots. So like, the wife was asking me, you had to ban somebody? I'm like, it's not a person, it's a robot, because there'll be chat bots that come in and say, hey, get viewers here. If you want viewers, click this and go to this site, and just pay us money and you'll get viewers. Yeah. Don't you want viewers? Well, viewers don't mean anything if they don't follow you. And on top of that, it's just, it's against TOS and everything. It's bad. So just don't want to do it. Don't do it. Don't fall for it. Don't ever click it. I don't even know why they even try. I guess there are dumb people out there that fall for it. I have no idea. But probably they're probably targeting, younger adults or younger audience, quote unquote wannabe streamers. And they're like, oh fuck yeah, if I get views, then I can make some money. And so they'll do it, and then they end up getting banned because they're not supposed to do it. And then of course, and on top of that, those viewers don't count towards anything because you have to have followers too. So I'm sure there's you can get these 1,000 views on your streams, but if you want us to follow you though, it's going to be more money. If you want your 50 followers, it's going to be $500 or some shit like that. Who the hell knows? But needless to say, if we take this all away, we go here and there. Essentially, we have created Anby's jacket. Is it perfect? Not exactly. Is it a direct representation? Yeah, for the most part, yeah. And as far as, this is concerned, we would continue to do this process for every single piece of or section of clothing. Like I said, the arms are going to be on their own layer. The waist section is going to have a couple of layers because of the belt and the skirt. And then the legs will be on their own layer, the shoes will be on their own layer, and within those clothing items, so within that clothing item here, we're going to have a separate layer for the bolts, we're going to have a separate layer for those straps, and the so on and so forth. So when we're trying to emulate, copy, or try to figure out how the artist did this, that is what you're going to have to do. So pretty much as far as today is concerned, we have learned, we're going to save this, we're going to continue to work on this, because again, this is my own training too, right? We have learned how to create the base model, so the proportions from which potentially how the Hoyoverse artist made the model for Anby. We then decided to give Anby her signature hairstyle and eyes and expression, of which again fairly simplistic. There's nothing that was overly complex about this. And then now we are starting to get to the more complex things, which is adding her clothing and getting that mapped out how I believe that the artist would have mapped out her clothing. But as you see, there's a lot that goes into character development. There's a lot of things that you have to consider. And when you are finding your own style, or you're trying to emulate a style that you really, really like, you're going to have to dig this deep into this artwork to try and learn as best as possible. Just as I said many times before, and will always say again, you know, I will never have the opportunity to learn from a Hoyoverse artist. These artists probably are under contract. They have a do not disclose, disclosure form. They are not going to be on YouTube showing you, hey, this is how I set up my anime figures and stuff like that. They're not going to do that. It's never going to happen. So we're going to have to do this level of work to figure out, okay, so this is how this artist would have done this, and be as close as possible. Because again, my goal with this is to up my own style game, of which I had discovered things that I would have changed myself doing this, and just try to create a character that I think would actually belong in Hoyoverse, whether that be Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, or Zenless Zone Zero. So this is the art project that I've given myself. So far, so good, and I have a lot more confidence that if I want to just, even right now, I could probably come up with my own Hoyoverse character at this point. But there are some things on this, on Ambi, that I do want to learn, such as really kind of the coloring aspect. I want to kind of really dive into the coloring aspect. These shoes are ridiculous. I love these fucking shoes. So if I can kind of get an idea of how those shoes are constructed, that's going to help me out a lot too, because a lot of the Hoyoverse, at least Zenless Zone Zero characters have shoes similar to this, so that's going to help me out a lot. But yeah, and of course this complex sword sheath back here, like this thing is ridiculous. The sword itself is pretty simple. It's just a giant fucking like fillet knife, but like this weird soda can thing, and then all these little mechanical stuff, right? All this stuff right here. I want to dive in deep and kind of get an idea of how they layered this. So coloring, clothing design, and essentially at that point, I will be ready to make my own Hoyoverse character. So with that all being said, just re-highlighting everything we've done today. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed the stream. Anybody that came in and watched the stream, I appreciate you. Any of you that watch this later on YouTube, I appreciate you as well. And please do leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Let me know down below in the comments if I was hitting on the nail on the head there with noticing some of the stuff isn't quite how I would do it, and if you would change it too. But needless to say, this is your host, Samurai Kit Kat, and we will see you on the next art episode. Toodles!